Marie, welcome and congratulations on receiving the Strategy Award. We're really thrilled to have you, and thank you so much for making time to speak with us. You've had an impressive career as CIO at a leading pension fund and in several senior roles in the industry. Looking back, what was the most pivotal decision in your career and why?
Wow, that's a tricky question to answer quickly, Joanna, but thank you once again very much for this reward to Markets Group and to you, Joanna. Looking back on my career and all the decisions that you make, I think, first of all, you should always see it as a teamwork. I'm very happy to being able to work with great colleagues throughout the years. But if I would just mention one thing, I think one game changer was when I was with Copenhagen back in 2017, when we decided to evaluate what to do with our listed global equity portfolio in the developed markets. We at the time had the assignment at external managers, but we decided to actually try to run it ourselves, to insource the mandate, which was a huge step at the time. And, we still wanted the same risk return profile, but under certain conditions and some restrictions, both regarding sustainability issues, I would say, and others, also financial constraints. And that worked actually fantastic. And that's also, of course, of great teamwork within Copan. That I think would be one game changer. I also think that maybe having the dollar as a hedge has been a good strategy over time, even if it's has been the return booster for the last year, but it has been both a good hedge strategy and also good return booster, I would say, over the past decade. Otherwise, I would say that when you're in asset allocation and you're dealing with other people's money, you need to be humble and you need to be aware of the risks that you're taking. And I think also what has been good, I think, over the years is not to be, first of all, making the stress tests so that you know that in more risk-averse markets that you don't need to be a forced seller, that you actually can be long-term. And that also goes for liquidity issues and making sure that you can be agile and trying to be so efficient as possible in also more risk-averse markets. That comes also to covenants and things like that. I think that is very important when you deal with asset management.
Yes, there's a lot to take from that. So thank you for sharing this, Marie. From your conversations with peers at the Grand Hotel last month, what key themes and trends did you hear mostly about?
I think people are, like we all are, struggling about what's going on in the world now, in the world order, security issues and so on. I think people still talk quite a lot about all the investments that you need to do, maybe particularly here in Europe when it comes to infrastructure and defense spending. So that is a theme I think that will continue over the near future. Another theme is that people still also believe in having a portion towards the real markets, not just infrastructure, but in private assets, credits, and so on. And also starting to look a little bit more on emerging markets again.
And looking ahead, what do you see as the biggest forces shaping institutional investing, let's say, for over the next 5 to 10 years?
A little bit about the same that we were talked about here. I think it will continue to be shaped by increasing private assets, real assets, how to make sure that you can survive in an inflationary environment, but also a lot on the need for infrastructure and defense spending, I think also will continue to shape the industry. Something else is also that we've been very much in a regulatory framework, and hopefully we'll see less of that. Some deregulation moving forward and hopefully more business-friendly environment. I think that would be grateful and hopeful for.
You've clearly built a wealth of experience. What advice would you give to the next generation of CIOs coming up in the field?
Tricky, but first of all, I think, keep things simple. I think it should be easy to explain to your stakeholders what risks you are having in your portfolio and what returns to expect, and be humble. It's other people's money that you're managing. And with that said, I think it's also very important that you remain curious about things and be open-minded. I also think it's very important that you work together with people that you like to have a good job and a culture that you can really support.
Yes, culture is definitely very important. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. How did you enjoy the event? What was your favorite part of it?
Everything was interesting during the 2 days, actually. It's always interesting to listen to your peer groups and what they are
Mhm.
thinking about when it comes to asset allocation and so forth. But it's also interesting to listen a little bit about what's going on in the private markets. We've been worried a little bit about the private market, especially in the US, if there are some black swans somewhere. So that was also interesting to listen into a little bit how you look at the private markets when it comes to private credit, for example.
Thank you so much for joining us today. It really was a pleasure.
Thanks, Joanna.